welcome to the news update on AFRICUNIA television, bringing you updates from the African scene, the foreign scene, and the world of sports. My name is Deborah Ezeh. Many thanks for joining me. Looking into the African scene, rising price driven by Ukraine crisis have stoked fear of devastating social turmoil in eastern DR Congo. In the region, the economy is hobbled by geographical remoteness and decades of violence. The conflict is stoking fear and anger, especially among residents of the northeastern part of DRC. The rising costs not only affect fuel, but also the market stores commodity gets prohibitively expensive. A 50-kilo bag of sugar, which previously cost around $43 now goes for $60, and the same goes for cooking oil, rice, or maize. They are now worth the double of their prices a few weeks ago. And moving on, dozens of Gambians have fled border regions since Sunday as Senegal launched an offensive against separatist rebels for Casamance. Since 1982, that the rebels are engaged in a low-intensity conflict that's claimed thousands of lives, as Gambian President Adama Barrow has promised to help the displaced. The number of displaced is still unclear, but a local resident claimed that at least 100 people entered his village and are displaced. Meanwhile, the president of Ghana, who is also chair of the West African Regional Bloc Ecowas, said there is an international dimension to the recent spate of military coups in Africa. He said outside influencers were behind disinformation campaigns, undermining the authority of governments in the continent and instigating opposition protests. The president, however, did not give details of those he thought were linked to the coup. Recent military takeover in Burkina Faso, Mali, and Guinea have prompted calls for African leaders to promote good governance in order to subdue disaffection among citizens. 18 African leaders have either modified or eliminated constitutional term limits in the past 2 decades, while another 18 have resisted efforts to institute term limits, according to Africa Center for Strategic Studies. And now we head to Nigeria, where President Muhammadu Buhari yesterday waded into leadership crisis, rocking the ruling All Progressives Congress APC, backing Governor Mai Malam Buni as chairman of the Caretaker and Extraordinary Convention Planning Committee, and sanctioned the March 26, 2022 National Convention. Buhari made this known in a letter addressed to the chairman, Progressive Governors Forum, and Kebbi State Governor Abubakar Atiku Bagudu. The president stressed the urgent need for the party to, as much as possible, avoid all controversies, litigation, and all other necessary distractions, and quickly get its act together. He specifically directed all members of the Governor Forum and their followers to desist from any behavior or utterances that would likely lead to disunity in the ranks of party and ultimately jeopardize the transition of the convention. And still in Nigeria, the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission on Wednesday declared a subsidy on power amounting to about 600 billion naira during some period had now been stopped by the federal government. It also revealed that electricity tariffs were raised in February this year and was quick to, however, state that the tariff payable by some customers in the franchise area of one of the distribution companies was reduced. This came as power generation companies condemned the Nigerian bulk electricity trading company, stating that the NBET was failing in its obligation in terms of payments for power generated by GENCOs. Speaking at a press briefing in Abuja on the challenges in the power sector and other issues, the chairman, NERC, Sanusi Gaba, stated that subsidy on electricity was a policy issued on the federal government that had to be halted. Gaba described the tariff adjustment as absolutely straightforward, stressing that the distribution companies were meant to inform their customers of the changes. On the recent blackouts and repeated collapse of the national electricity grid, the NERC chairman said the rupturing of gas pipelines by vandals and routine maintenance works on some power plants contributed to the instability of the country's power system. And away from the African scene onto the foreign scene, figures showing a global rise in COVID-19 cases could herald a much bigger problem, as some countries also report a drop in testing rates, the WHO said on Tuesday, warning nations to remain vigilant against the virus. After more than a month of decline, COVID cases started to increase around the world last week. The WHO said with lockdowns in Asian, China, Jilin province battling to contain an outbreak, A combination of factors was causing the increase, including the highly transmissible Omicron variant and its BA2 sublineage, and the lifting of public health and social measures, low vaccination rates in some countries, driven partly by a huge amount of misinformation, also explained the rise. The new infection jumped by 8% globally compared to the previous week, with 11 million new cases and just over 43,000 new deaths reported in March 7 to 13. Africa also saw a 12% rise in the new case and 14% rise in death, and Europe saw 2% rise in cases but no jump in death. Other regions, including Eastern Mediterranean region, although this area saw a 38% rise in death, linked to a previous spike in infections. And in Hungary expects a bigger wave of refugees to arrive from Ukraine next week, Prime Minister Viktor Orbán said in a video posted on his Facebook page. Visiting a border crossing point near Hungary's border with Romania and Ukraine, Orbán said more border guards will be posted next week to handle an increased number of refugees. Orbán, who faces elections on April 3rd, did not say in Wednesday's comments why he expected more refugees next week, as over the past week, the numbers of Ukrainian refugees arriving to Hungary has fallen substantially. And still on the foreign scene, a powerful quake that hit northeast of Japan late on Wednesday has revived public concerns over the country's nuclear energy and a challenge to those who have argued for plants left idle after the 2011 Fukushima disaster to be restarted. No abnormalities were reported at any nuclear plant, although authorities had earlier said a fire alarm had been triggered at a turbine building. Tens of thousands of Japanese households remained without power on Thursday morning after a magnitude 7.4 quake struck shortly before midnight, throwing a swathe of northeastern Japan into darkness, severing key transporting links and killing 4. Prime Minister Fumio Kishida said that the government would be on high alert for the possibility for further strong tremors over the next 2 to 3 days. At least 107 people were reported injured, several seriously, with 4,300 households also still without water by mid-morning. And away from that scene, now we move to the sports scene. Liverpool beat Arsenal 2-0 at the Emirates Stadium to secure a huge 3 points in the Premier League title race. Diogo Jota's breakthrough goal early in the second half was soon followed by a second from substitute Roberto Firmino to move judging club side with a point of Manchester City. Arsenal had a chance of their own, none clearer than when Martin Odegaard failed to beat Alisson Becker for point-blank range after Thiago Alcantara's sloppy back pass. Meanwhile, a clearly disappointed Arteta was proud of the performance of his players. And finally, Chelsea advanced into the Champions League quarter-finals with a 2-1 victory, that is 4-1 on aggregate, over Lille, following goals from Christian Pulisic and Cesar Azpilicueta. The European champion once again put their off-field troubles aside and delivered a fine performance to overcome the League One club. Chelsea did fall behind during the first half when Buckingham netted from the penalty spot after Jorginho was penalized for handball, but Pulisic crucially equalized in first half ahead of time. And that's all from us, the news update tonight. Do ensure to follow all our social media platforms on Jointoon, Pangram, Instagram and Facebook in their respective order. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, like and leave a comment for us on the comment section. Once again, I'm Deborah Ezeh. Bye for now.